How do you light an entire scene without a single light stand on the floor? In this breakdown, I'll show you how we built an overhead lighting setup for a cafe scene, why we decided to hang everything from the ceiling and what worked, and what I'd probably do differently next time. Welcome to Behind the Floppy Flag. Our goal was create soft, natural-looking light while keeping the floor completely clear for actors and camera placement, while allowing us to adjust lighting in different sections independently. The entire short film consisted of one scene repeating itself over and over again, like in Groundhog's Day. And over the course of these repetitions, a lot of things inside of the scene would change, including lighting and camera work. We start with this traditional-looking soft overhead lighting and end with dim, high-contrast, hard light. This is why it was very important to have zone control over different areas of the set and have different light fixtures that we could initiate in different times to create this different character of lighting. Here's our location. As you can see, it has a lot of daylight coming in through this glass canopy at the top. Also, you can see a lot of windows in the background. The location was only available to us during the day, so we had to cover all of the windows and all the daylight with black rags, because our concept was a very dimly lit scene with a lot of practicals and warm light. After several scouting trips where we figured out camera angles and placement of the main table with actresses, we took measurements of the entire set and created this diagram. On to the grip work. We've decided to use two of these 12 by speed rails as base of our rig. We attached them to the structural base of the canopy. The key element of our lighting system was this 12 by 8 diffusion frame that we tied with rope to the existing steelwork of the building. Inside of this frame is 1/4 grid cloth. We chose to use diffusion this light because it allowed us to keep certain directionality of light fixtures that we spotted into this frame, which we'll talk about a bit later. Additionally, we've placed this 8 by 8 black block on this side of our diffusion to cut unwanted spill from our lighting fixtures to this wall and this part of the set. Now let's go over the lighting fixtures we used. So the main 4 lights that were blasting into the diffusion frame were the Aperture 300X here, Amaran Ray 360C here, Amaran 200X here, and Amaran 100X here. These units were attached directly to the speed rail and were pointed towards the actresses. Apart from these bigger lights, we also used a bunch of smaller lights, like this Aperture 80C, another one here, another one here, and in here we used Amaran 60X. And there was also a small Amaran PT2C tube light on this side. These were used as backlight for girls most of the time, but also as the film progressed and the light character was changing from more soft to more harsh and directional, our backlights, the smaller units on the sides, were becoming our key lights, and the intensity of these overhead lights was decreasing. Some other things you can see in this diagram: in this back part of the cafe there are a lot of practicals, and we have these Godox RS60 units that were supporting these practicals, creating pools of lights in certain areas of the background. Apart from that, there was this Amaran 60 here that was shining over the background with a projection lens. To sum up, we have this 8 by 8 diffusion frame that is essentially split into 4 independent sections that we can adjust depending on the camera placement. If the camera is here, for example, we can dim these units and just have these as our main light source, because we never want our light to come from the same direction as our camera, because it will make everything look flat and uninteresting. So to maintain this high contrast and the character of light that we want, we would only enable the light sources opposite to the camera position. So if the camera is here, it's like that. And if we place the camera in this area, for example, filming a close-up of one of the actresses there, we would disable these units and just have these section operating. If the camera would move to the other side, filming these girls, we would disable these units and just have these ones operating. In the end, this kind of system saved us lots of time on lighting setup. Every time we would change camera position, we would simply go into Sidus Link app and adjust the lights that we want. No time wasted on moving heavy light stands and doing all this unnecessary footwork. This meant a more efficient workflow, as well as the ability to spend the actual time that we have for reset to finesse and fine-tune all the light instead of wasting time on rigging and bringing the lights and stuff like that. That said, there were some situations when we would shoot a close-up, for example, and we felt that there's not enough contrast or we need to control light a bit more than our overhead system allows. In those cases, we did occasionally use floppy flags or cutters, but these were rare and didn't waste that much time because it's just one cutter or one flag. There was never a lot of rigging on the floor. Apart from all the locked-off shots with the tripod, we had one of these scene variations where the camera would circle around the set with a gimbal. At that point we were showing the playback and crew area and all of this backstage. And during that one, the light were controlled dynamically, so when the camera was passing on this side, these lights would turn down, and when it go on the other side, they would turn back on and these ones would turn off. Looking back at the shoot, there are a few things I'd absolutely do again, and a few things I'd approach differently next time. The three things that worked really well: no stands on the floor, fast lighting adjustments via zones, camera could move freely. These things made production run very smoothly and allowed us to save a lot of time on lighting tasks. And three things I'd improve next time. I'd probably have better spill control. Our overhead rags weren't ideal and we had to waste some time adjusting them from time to time. Also, as you can see from some of the footage, it was letting some of this cool daylight mix in with our warm light. It didn't affect the final image in a critical way, but in the future I'd probably try and do a better job of covering this overhead section. Another thing I'd probably change is increase the distance between LED lights and the diffusion frame. I think the system would have worked a bit better if they were further away. Lastly, a crucial component of a system like this is control. Most of our lights were controlled via Sidus Link app, and if I were to do it again, I'd prefer DMX or CRMX control over all the fixtures, because we couldn't control our background fixtures, the Godox, together with Amaran and aperture fixtures that were our main set. Those have their separate app and they're not in the same ecosystem, and it would have been a lot more efficient to have all the lights in one control system. That's it for this breakdown. This, of course, isn't a universal solution. It worked very well for this film, but it's probably not designed for every scene you're making, because the setup of this is also very time consuming. The initial setup with one gaffer and 4 grips took about 4 hours. This was on the first day when we were still playing and testing some things, so the consecutive days were a bit shorter, but still it's a significant amount of time to spend on something like this. And if it was just one simple scene, it would probably not be worth it. But since it was an entire 20+ minutes short film in the same setup, it's a worthwhile investment of time. Another thing I'd like to stress is safety. Whatever time you can save should be saved anywhere but this crucial component. Everything hanging above people must be extra secure and safe. And if you are unsure about your rigging decisions, better not do them. Call a qualified rigging team. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Third shot of the movie, by the way.
Cam rolling.
Yeah, we're doing the third shot.
Cam rolling.
Sound rolling. 3-1.
3-1.
Sound set.
Set.
And
Turn.
action.